Hello, welcome back to my channel. I got a package from Poshmark, so I thought I would show you guys everything and then we'll actually try some stuff on. I have my tinted sunscreen and then a little bit of cream blush. I forget what brand it is. I think it came in an ice cream beauty box, and then like the Benefit like cream highlighter stick, a little bit of Tarte cream bronzer, but like this is all from this morning. It is almost 5:30 p.m. I did this like 8 o'clock this morning, so it's a little bit worn down, but when I wear powder products, they're layered on top of cream anyway, so I figured this is an accurate representation, at least for me, on how it would look if I wore it. So that's what we're gonna do. I'll show you the products, talk about what I paid for this, and then we'll test some stuff out. If that sounds interesting, stick around. If you're new, welcome. Make sure you subscribe. If you're not new, I appreciate you being here as always, and let's jump into the video. Okay, so like I said, I got this on Poshmark, so this stuff was all used, but I was watching TikTok and the creator I was watching was decluttering her entire makeup collection. So there were several parts, and she decluttered one of these face palettes, and I had never seen these before. These are Physicians Formula. This is the Breakfast Club collection. So I have volume 1 and 2 of the face palettes and the eyeshadow palette. And I got everything, the whole bundle, for $20. I think the lady had it listed for $30, and I put an offer in and she accepted it. So here's the palette first. And everything came really well intact. The eyeshadow looks a little rough right now, but that's because I was trying to show my husband and it like slid out of the box onto the hardwood floor upstairs. If it had happened down here, I have carpet in this room and I have carpet in our bedroom, but of course I drop it where it wasn't carpet. So like 4 of the shadows exploded. I repressed everything. Yeah, like this one exploded, that one exploded, this one exploded, there was another one. Part of that one exploded, so it was 4, but it was in, it's lightly used, but it was in better condition than this when it came in the mail. But like I said, I was trying to show my husband before I took it downstairs and it just slid off. Thankfully, it happened on the floor, so I was able to repress it, because if it had happened during transit, then the shadows get really mixed up and you can't really salvage it, but I was able to save it. So this is the palette. It's neutral. There's a couple of pops of color because you have like an orange matte and some purples, but I would consider this a neutral palette. And it does have the coconut smell that Physicians Formula likes to put in things. I have never gotten on really well with Physicians Formula. I have tried because everybody loves like their bronzer. Never tried their eyeshadows. I will go and get the face palette that I currently own. That's one thing that I have like tried to declutter a couple of times and ended up keeping it, but I'll go get the face palette that I own and then we'll talk about that at the end. And I think $20 for all 3 of these things was pretty cheap, because Physicians Formula is pricey for drugstore. That's another reason I haven't bought a ton from them. But this is the face palette that I already own. This is the All-Star palette, so I'll show that at the end. But this I got on Amazon for like $10. It was on sale. And I want to like it. It's just one of those things. I've used it. It's fine. I just don't love it. And I've thought about decluttering it, but it is it has a pressed powder in it. Again, we'll talk about it, but I've ended up saving it 3 different times. And so now I'm like contemplating, because I have these other 2, that maybe I can let it go now, but again, we'll talk about it. So here's volume 1, and I don't know when this collection came out. Let's see, it was with Universal. Is there a year on here? Has the licensing on the back. I don't see. Cruelty-free, paraben-free, gluten-free. I don't see a year, so you'll have to let me know when this came out. I don't remember seeing this stuff. I remember when Wet n Wild did like the Mean Girls collection, or was it Hard Candy? Like I remember somebody doing a Mean Girls collection, but I don't know when these came out. And like these volume 1 and volume 2, I don't know if these came out the same time or if these were like 1 year and then the next one. But here's volume 2. So here's the packaging. So we got the dance scene, and then when they're sitting on the railing outside the library, and then this one has the picture from the DVD cover. My husband put it on the other day and got about 2 seconds in, and I knew what movie it was. He makes fun of me. Not really makes fun of me, but he thinks it's funny. If it's a movie I have seen a bunch, I can tell you within 2 or 3 seconds of it playing the music and the opening credits what movie it is, generally with under 10 seconds. So, but again, like the opening song in this is The Breakfast Club. So it's something I've seen a lot, but he makes fun of me. Anyway, let's open this up. So this, and these are, again, are all used. I think she used the bronzer in volume 2 more than volume 1, and she may have been a deeper skin tone. I don't know what the lady looked like, but it's 2 bronzers. So I think it's the normal one, but they have weird names on them. So we have Class of 84, the Athlete, the Rebel in the pink shade, the Princess in the peach, the Brain in the white highlighter, and then the bronzy highlighter is the basket case. So they have everybody on here. Why do I feel like they're missing somebody? 1, 2, 3. Okay, that makes sense. There's only 5 of them. For some reason I was thinking there was a 6th person, but I think I'm thinking of the principal. So same thing in here. I don't know. I'll have to swatch these. It looks like it's slightly deeper. And then the darker highlight, like in this one, this looks a little bit bronzy, and then it looks gold in volume 2. So I'll swatch them. We can swatch them. So again, here's Class of 84, the Athlete, the Rebel, the Princess, the Brain, and the basket case. And then I'll hold them up side by side, but we'll swatch them and then I'll do a try on. But I was thinking originally that I would just keep these and then maybe declutter. I'm gonna wipe this off. I think it just got a little powdery up in the inner flap part of the lid just from being in transit. But like I said, everything was intact until I dropped the eyeshadow on the floor. This is the one that I got on Amazon. So this is the All-Star palette. So I think the bronzer shades are like these. So it's the like butter bronzer, and then this is the matte butter bronzer, and then you've got 2 highlighters, which the one highlighter looks like this one. This is Rose All Day, and then you've got Power Petal, which it has overspray. It's a pretty light kind of lit from within highlighter. It looks whiter than it is, but like I said, what you're seeing around the edge is overspray. And then this is a powder. It is a multicolored pressed powder. So that's why I've kept this, because upstairs I keep a caboodle, and so I keep thinking like I could use the powder and like utilize this. And then this is the blush and Happy Booster Glow. So the only reason I'm thinking about keeping this is the pressed powder, but that seems kind of silly. So we'll swatch these. Hopefully they're still good. Again, I don't know how old this stuff is. With powder, I'll use, like I still have my Urban Decay Electric palette, and I've used it recently, and that's a 10-year-old eyeshadow palette. So age doesn't really bother me, but let's swatch these really quick and then we will test out one of the palettes and the eyeshadow. Okay, I tried to make sure everything was cleaned off of my hand. I got out brushes because my everyday one that I use is upstairs. I got extra wipes. Like I said, I have a little bit of makeup, but it's not as bright as it was this morning because it's the end of the day. So let's swatch these side by side just to see the depth level. Doesn't look like she used the Athlete at all in this one, so I'm going to say she's probably a deeper skin tone because she was only using this one in the palette, but it looks like That's the equivalent shade in here, and that's the one with the biggest dip. Doesn't really look like she used, it looks like she used a little bit of Rebel. This one. And same thing, it looks like she used this maybe once, and then this maybe a little bit more. This highlighter looks like it was used, and then this looks swatched. Doesn't really look like she touched the highlighters in the other two palettes, which would probably explain why she got rid of them. So let's do the Athlete in volume 1. Volume 1 is going to be the lighter of the two. So let's go over here. So there it is right there. It's super light. So let's do the Athlete in the other. Definitely deeper. And then we've got Class of 84, which kind of seems like it's in between. That first one's really, really light. Let me see if I can dry my hand off here. Yeah, this top one, this top one is one that I would use as like blending out, because I used to like to do a matte bronzer and then a shimmery bronzer, but this is one that I would use to like maybe blend out a deeper one, like maybe go in with one of these and then blend it out a little bit with that. And then Class of 84 in the second palette looks quite a bit darker. So you've got quite a bit of depth differences. So these two are second palette, these two are the first palette. And then same thing with the blushes. They look, volume 2 looks deeper. So we've got the Princess, which is light, and then we have the Princess from the second palette. There's a little bit of shimmer, but it kind of looks like that's overspray on the blush. I don't think it's actually shimmery. And we have the Rebel, and none of these feel hard pan. There was one shadow in the palette that looked like it was hard panning. So then we have the Rebel from volume 1, and then the Rebel, more of a dusty rose, more of a pink. Volume 1, volume 2, volume 1, volume 2. Let's look at the highlighters. So we have, again, try and make sure see, this is volume 2. As far as the Brain, the white highlighter, and let's see how light it is from the first palette. A little more champagne-y in volume 2, a little more of a standard white highlighter. And then Basket Case looks, from volume 1, looks like it's one that I would use as like a shimmery bronzer. There it is right there. And then the Basket Case in volume 2 looks more gold. Yeah. So there are those. So let me clean this off and we'll try one of these on. I'll move you in and then we'll try the eyeshadow palette too. It's been a long time since I've done try on, so bear with me. So I think I'm gonna try the Class of 84 from volume 1, just to kind of see. I'll move you back just a touch. And I didn't really think it was cheating leaving the cream on, just because this is how I would have. So that is the darker of the two out of volume 1, pretty light. And then I'm gonna use the Athlete, which is deeper, out of volume 2, because I like, especially on my forehead, that's about the depth level. And that's what my liquid bronzer looked like this morning. Gives me more dimension. I don't think any of these shades are too dark for me to use, as far as like even the highlighters. I think I could probably use all the stuff in some capacity, either as a like shimmery bronzer or as an actual highlighter, because the gold highlighter in volume 2 is not like so dark that I wouldn't be able to use it. Let's try Class of 84 out of volume 2, which is a little bit more shimmery and probably the deepest out of the bunch, just to see. And this is, and I'm just tapping it in, and obviously it's going to look probably significantly darker because I'm layering, I got 3 bronzers here, but especially because I do minimal powder, I like stuff to be a little bit darker first thing in the morning, and then it fades throughout the day, but then at least at the end of the day, it still looks like there's still some remnants. It doesn't look like nothing. If I go too light, even with like my blush and stuff, then it just looks like I'm not wearing anything. So I generally will go, excuse me, a little bit darker with my creams just because of that. So let's see, the blush, we'll do the Rebel out of both. This one in volume 1 is super like pinky, and I usually do a little bit of like blush draping and kind of bring it up a little bit, and then I'll maybe do the same name. Seems a little bit more dusty rose. I've been liking like straight pinks and then more dusty roses. I went through a period where I was using more peaches. I've been wearing more neutral and pinks lately, and I think it's just one of those things that changes seasonally on me, and then I'll take a little bit. I will say, I think this lady smoked because I get a little bit of, like the packaging kind of smells like cigarettes a little bit. I mean, that's fine. That it's a risk. Like the products themselves, I think I'm smelling the packaging. It does smell a little bit like it came from a smoker's house. Nothing in here really has the coconutty smell. You'll have to let me know if anybody bought this brand new, if it did, because nothing in here is really scented. Is this stuff scented? Maybe a little bit. This doesn't smell coconutty. I mean, I guess bronzer does, but something over on this half is very floral smelling. But it's really light, so I could see like, so you'll have to let me know what they made these smell like, because I could see if it being like vanilla, something super light, that's going to dissipate relatively quickly. So again, because these are older, I could understand why all I'm smelling is not whatever the fragrance was. So I'm just doing the highlighter out of volume 1, and then I'll do a little bit of the Brain in volume 2. Again, I'll keep these. I don't know how much I'll use them. Like I said, I was watching the lady declutter the one palette, and I was like, oh, I like the Breakfast Club. I don't remember seeing any of that stuff. But again, being Physicians Formula, I wouldn't really. Do I have any eyeshadow primer handy? I don't think I do, so I'm just going to put this on bare lids. I have a little bit of mascara on my top lash, but that's all I did today, so let me go get some sort of a primer, because I feel like I'm not giving this a fair shot if I don't. So let me go grab something. Okay, I just used a little bit of the Milani. I didn't want to use my Gerard Cosmetics Clean Canvas just because I didn't want anything that heavy, because I'm going to take this off. I like this. I do think it's comparable to the Urban Decay, but if you're going to get one, I like Ulta's matte eyeshadow primer. I think that's better than the Milani. Emily Noel, if you watch her, loves the Milani eyeshadow primer. I just think it's okay. It is not my favorite. It's not my end all be all. I think if you're going to get a drugstore one, the Ulta matte eyeshadow primer has a little bit of color, so it will blank out your lid, and it is closer, in my opinion, to the Urban Decay primer than this is. I think this is a little bit cheaper than the Ulta one, but I like the Ulta one better, but I think my Ulta one is upstairs. So we're still getting crumbly because one of the shades that broke was the matte brown, so it is what it is. You don't have a ton of matte shades in here. It's mostly shimmer because you have this is matte, The brown is matte and the orange is matte. I think this purple is technically a sequin shade, so you could count that as a matte. There's not a ton of choices. I think I'm gonna use the orange. Doesn't look like she ever touched that shade. I couldn't tell you what she used and what she didn't. I would have been able to tell you before I dropped it, but because I had to repress a good chunk of this, it's very, like, I just tapped my brush in. It's very powdery. I don't know if that's standard for Physicians Formula or if it's because this is older. Do these have shade names? No. So this is the orange. There's a lot of kick up, which that doesn't bother me. It's just something to be aware of, because if, like me, I do my base first, you're gonna get some fallout probably. I don't normally tap my brush off, but this reminds me of like ABH's original formula. I feel like their shadows in their newer palettes are not as kick-uppy as they used to be, but this doesn't seem to be bad. I wear more neutrals. I mean, I generally just do like 1 or 2 matte shades in the crease and then a little bit of shimmer either from the palette I'm using or from a Super Shock. I think I have 2 different shimmery. Generally, we'll just do 1 matte shade in the crease and then a shimmer on the lid if I do any eyeshadow at all. Generally don't do anything super colorful or more elaborate unless we're going somewhere. I'm gonna use a little bit of this cream shade. I made a, I said this poor palette I made a giant mess with, but it was salvageable. I could fix it. I repressed a lot. It's just patience. Something like this, like I said, the good thing is it happened at home, because in transit it gets shooken up and you can't really salvage it, but at least here it dropped straight down, so when it shattered, they shattered kind of in their spots, and then I was able to kind of, thankfully, like the one on top of the shimmer was intact, so I could scrape out what was broken. Like nothing, I didn't have any break that were like right next to each other, so if the shadow stays intact, you can, like, I'll take a box cutter and scrape in and then press down. It's nice with the circle pans because a quarter is generally the size of a standard eyeshadow pan. Take a paper towel, put the quarter down, really press it in. Something like this, unless you have something this exact shape. So I pressed it down with my finger, but it doesn't get it as firm as it would be if you went in with like a quarter or something this size. Let me know if you want to see it like that super kick-uppy, but again, I did break that shade. Ooh, Jesus. Like there was a lot of, and again, some of that could be because I broke it, but you'll have to let me know if any of you guys bought any of this stuff, because like I said, I don't know when this came out. I'll have to look up. I don't know how old this is. That poor brown is on its last leg. I got brown in here. I'm getting brown all over. Like I said, it probably would have been better if I had broken it, but it happens. Like, I honestly, with the amount of eyeshadow that I have, I don't know how often I would be using this anyway, even if I hadn't broken it, but like I said, it's just super, I barely touched it in like Kick Up City. But like I said, the brown one could be kicking up horribly. Like it was really bad compared to the orange, but that was one of the ones that broke. Mattes are harder to repress. You really need to put some isopropyl alcohol. I didn't, because sometimes if you put too much, it screws up the formula. So I generally will try and just do it with my finger. Mattes, like I said, are trickier. Again, let me know if you want to see a video on me repressing stuff, because I can film it the next time I have a fair amount of stuff come. Okay, what do we want to put on the lid? Maybe this one that I broke. It's kind of a, I don't know what you would, like a pewter kind of a shade. And I'm just going to go on. Again, I have no basis for comparison here, because I've never used Physicians Formula eyeshadow ever in my life. Only use the face stuff. Yeah, I usually will tap in with my finger and then I'll go in with a smaller brush. Their shadows are messy. Like I said, I can't tell if it's because I broke it or if they're just messy. I feel like it could go either way here because this is just really messy. I usually go in with a pencil brush to get down in the inner corner. Yeah, it's all, I was gonna change my shirt anyway, but really gonna have to. Oh, I got glitter in my eye, lint in my eye, and there's like fallout all down my face. This is definitely a palette that I would make the exception. I have a few that I know are bad because there's just glitter like all in, because I don't have any powder on my face. It's just there. But again, I'm not going anywhere. This is gonna get taken off. I just figured since I had a little bit of makeup to start with and I didn't look terrible, not that I don't film videos when I look terrible, but I'm just gonna use the Brain highlighter for the inner corner. Sometimes I will put powder if I'm doing concealer. I generally don't do concealer unless I'm going somewhere, and then I'll powder just right here. And then if I have to put concealer, like I have a little bit of an acne spot that's going away, like I concealed that the other day and put powder on it. But generally there's only powder right here, which would have helped me because you can really like see the shimmer. But again, there's no powder right there, so it's just clinging on for dear life to my face. So this is a palette that I would need to do my eyes first. I have a couple. I feel like Melt Cosmetics can be a little bit crumbly, and I have a few of their palettes that I have to do my eyes first if I'm not careful. I'm just gonna do the purple shimmer. This one looked like it had started to hard pan on her. Like if you can see right there, that's hard pan. I went in and scraped it a little bit just with my finger when I was repressing, but you can see I tapped my brush in, so that's all a hard pan because you can see my brush displaced this and this, but it didn't touch anything with that. And that can, sometimes shadows will just hard pan, but like if you're somebody that's really prone to using your fingers, you need to make sure your hands are clean because the oils from your fingers can cause hard panning. Generally, it happens more with mattes because shimmers can generally take a little bit of moisture because a lot of them are meant to be used wet. So but I have an ABH palette. I know there was one in my old Subculture. I think it was one of the palettes I got rid of. Was it the Prism palette? The one that had the neon yellow? I had a white in there that hard panned, and it was a shimmer, and it was really bizarre. So it does happen, and generally I feel like when it's with a shimmer, and especially one like this, it's a formula issue, not necessarily because of anything that she did. And then I'm going to take the one that looks like a sequin shade right next to it. I like purple on the bottom, but like I probably wouldn't do this normally unless I had concealer, because with no concealer I feel like it, because I have dark circles, it kind of makes it look like got a black eye. But I like the plums underneath because my eyes are technically blue, but I have an amber ribbon that runs through, so they look teal. And I feel like purples and like the oranges really make it pop because my eye color almost mimics green, which oranges and cranberries and reds are good with greens, but those can also be with blue. And I just have a weird shade of blue eyes because people think my eyes are green and they're not. Technically they're blue. the amber makes them look tealy. I had somebody when I was in A school and I was in the Navy thought that it was colored contacts. I was wearing contacts at the time, but my contacts were clear. I used to do colored contacts in high school. My mom would get them for me down in Algodones in Mexico, so I never got the same color twice. It was just whatever they had in my prescription. So I had gray and lavender because I didn't like my eye color when I was in high school, and I was insane. I'm just looking. I don't think this is bad at all, but this is messy. But again, I can't speak to if it was always messy or if it's messy because I dropped it. You'll have to let me know. I'm genuinely curious. I definitely I think I'll get more use out of the face palettes if I ever decide to take them upstairs, but the stuff all works. Seems like it's fine. The eyeshadow, it's not stinging. Sometimes if I have a reaction, it's immediate, but also I'll be able to tell when I take it off because sometimes like the wet wipe will stir it up, so to speak, and make it more apparent. But I don't feel like anything's irritated, especially because I got some of the shimmery eyeshadow in my eye. Nothing's burning, nothing's stinging. So yeah, I think I'll hold on to this stuff. I like the packaging. Again, I like 80s movies. I like The Breakfast Club. Pretty in Pink is probably my favorite out of all the John Hughes movies, but Breakfast Club is probably a close second. I like Breakfast Club better than 16 Candles. I watched 16 Candles a fair amount. It's funny, but I always liked The Breakfast Club a little bit more. I don't really know why, but yeah, let me know what you guys thought. So far, I like this stuff. And then definitely let me know if any of you picked this stuff up when it was brand new. How old is this? Let me know if this is normal for Physicians Formula shadows to be this like powdery and kick-uppy. Genuinely curious. The face products were not that kick-uppy, although I will say the blush in this one is very messy. Like it's kick-uppy. You just have to like tap in a little bit and it just poofs. Now this is super hard pressed. Like you really have to push your powder puff or brush or whatever you're going to use for face powder in there. And the rest of them are fine, but this blush is very crumbly also. So I don't know. Again, I don't have hardly any experience with Physicians Formula, so there is absolutely no basis for comparison for me. But yeah, I enjoyed trying this stuff out with you. It has been a long time. I am very rusty, so I appreciate your patience. I will try and do this stuff more. I have had a lot of you tell me that you want me to start doing eyeshadow tutorials again, so I'm really trying. It's one of those things that I have to do those in the evening because I feel bad sitting down here for hours on the weekend. So it's generally one of those things that I would do on used to do in the evenings. And I'm so tired with the 3 kids. It's hard for me to like muster up the strength. And I generally will have a glass of wine or one of my gummies, and then I'm like done. And we'll just go in and watch one of my true crime documentaries. But I've had a lot of requests, so let me know. I know we're like barely at the end of July. I kind of want to start bringing out some of my Halloween palettes just so I can get some use because I'm not wearing a ton of makeup. Like I said, if I do wear makeup, it's like 1 or 2 shadows and I go on my merry way. So let me know if there's any particular palettes you want to see, or if you just want to see me start doing the Halloween ones, or if you want me to start bringing out, like I put them back in the drawers, but I had a stack of like indie brands that I had never used. I could start trying those out. So let me know what you guys want to see, and I will definitely put in some effort to try and get those out. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Again, make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, and hopefully I will see you in another video. Bye, everybody.